We had such a good conversation in the back.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And I want to now bring that conversation to the front. But here's the situation. One of the situations that I'm going to be dealing with our illiteracy rate, especially amongst African American males. Now, I've gotten two different reports, so hopefully you can help me in this. I've gotten a report that one report says we are not able to read above the fifth grade reading level. Another report is saying that now it's even went further down to the third grade reading level. Can you clarify, is it the fifth grade or is it the third grade?
So are you talking about are we talking about like people who are now adult men, or are we talking about like the situation in school?
Let's go with what's going on now in schools, and then we can rise up to what's going on.
Okay. There are lots of inequities in education, as we know. Reading, the way that it's taught, is very much sight word based, text rich environment situation.
Mhm.
Phonics is not as heavily focused on as I think that it should be. And then also there's the whole like family support and all of that. So all of these things coming together, as well as, just, I don't want to, say too much, but, certain schools in our neighborhood do not have the proper support that they need to intervene and get things done the way they need to be done so that students are on grade level when they need to be at a much higher rate than what they are now, because the rates are not where they should be, especially when you compare with other races of people in the United States.
Are you free to, and I'm going to explain to people why I said this word, are you free to maybe talk about some of the things you're seeing? That way people have an understanding of what's really happening. Because if we know the problems, we may be able to really put our finger on it. While you're thinking about that, let me tell everybody real quickly, I have worked in the education system very heavily. Kay is an educator, and a lot of educators are not free to really talk about certain situations going on. So if she says she can't answer it, she is not escaping the question, protecting her job. And I'm going to make sure her job is protected.
Thank you. So I would just say, again, the way that the way that reading is taught, kindergarten through second grade is really where all of those phonics skills should be really put into place. You're still going to use them probably for the rest of, I still use those skills. When you come across an unfamiliar word, you have to sound it out and figure out what that word is. But like I said, a lot of focus is on sight words. So being able to see the word and recognize it. So then you see it, you read it, and you read your sentence or your paragraph, whatever you're reading. But that method a lot of times leaves a lot of kids in third, fourth, and fifth grade who have not yet grasped the concept of phonics fully. So they can't sound out words as well as they should be able to at that point. As the texts get harder, as you get older, you end up falling further behind. So in kindergarten, first, second grade, sight words, you memorize all your fry words. You memorize these lists, you can read through them, you recognize them in the books that are on your grade level because a lot of those books use certain words, the easier text. Then you get to third, fourth, fifth grade, and there tends to be a drop in my observation. There's a drop in performance like after second grade because, some of those skills just aren't in place. And then, as a teacher, you are supposed to teach the curriculum. You're supposed to teach grade level content to your students. But then this is where a lot of teachers struggle just in general, trying to teach this grade level content so that you can do what you're supposed to do and also give them exposure to grade level content. But then there's all these gaps. So if you're teaching, I don't know, figurative language or something, but you have students who cannot read the passage, you got to go back and work on skills so that they'll be able to read what's in front of them. So it's kind of just like, each year I feel like people get a little further behind if they're not up to where they need to be, especially in reading, because reading isn't taught, like the actual skill of decoding words, that's not taught past maybe third grade. Like you're not teaching reading after that. you're teaching different concepts related to reading, like comprehension, different things, other things, text structure, things like that. Just a bunch of different things. I'm talking about elementary age students. Right. And of course, as you get older, the text becomes even harder. So again, if you were lacking some of those foundational skills, you're going to keep falling behind. And as you fall more behind, your confidence is going to be lower. You're going to hate reading because it's hard. Like a lot of times kids don't like things that are very difficult for them. Like they have to feel like there's a win. If you keep performing poorly on an activity in class, you're not going to like it. You're eventually going to, and then that can turn into behavior issues. And then that's a whole other thing, because now a teacher might be trying to manage behavior issues. That's a chunk of your day. Then you're trying to deal with like the gap in learning and trying to teach the grade level content. So, and then don't even get me started on like the whole social emotional aspect, and then community life, home life, just different things like that also go in student achievement. So yeah, like there's just a lot, and it's from just every angle. And I think teachers do the best they can. I think parents do the best they can. I think sometimes though that some people look at school is the place for this to happen, right? Like you're at school, so you should be, learning while you're at school. When you come home, do your homework, go to bed, whatever. Right. But like my advice always to parents, students that I have, is that you have to do stuff at home. Like you have to. There is no getting around it. I would say from preschool to at least 8th grade, you have to be like very heavily involved in your child's education if you want them to be successful. Honestly, it's one of the most, like it's a very accurate, I guess, indicator of success at school is parent involvement. So, all of these things have to be happening at the same time. Like I said, especially kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, even 3rd grade, really getting those reading skills to the point where students know how to use them when they're on their own. Right. Sometimes I'll even have kids read to me, and sometimes they'll skip words. They'll just skip a word, or they'll say a word that looks like, like if it starts with a Y, they might say the word yellow just because they're familiar with Y being in front of yellow. So if you're doing those kinds of strategies and you're just kind of skipping words or reading things improperly because you're not sounding them out, you are going to miss a lot of the understanding. And then this ends up being a problem, because then the teacher sees you performing poorly and might think like, oh, you don't get the concept, you don't get the objective. If we're talking about, I don't know, whatever, similes and metaphors, whatever, you're performing poorly, but it's not that you don't understand that concept, it's that you're having a hard time reading. So you can't do it well because you don't even know what you just read. So that's one thing that teachers just have to do. You got to be on the lookout for all of those types of things. Not just jumping to they can't do it, or, they don't understand this objective. I think a lot of the time for younger kids especially, it's a reading issue, like a not comprehension, but like actually
real reading.
Yes.